No, in the interest of time, I'll stick around if anybody has questions.
All right. All right, so we're gonna get to our, back in May, we talked about the potential of doing a conservation district similar to what Ardsley Park, Chatham Crescent did. And we took a vote during that meeting to see if we should continue to pursue seeing about that, talking to the neighbors about it. That was back in May, with the idea that we would come back here in August and we would do a final vote on it. During that meeting in May, we had a unanimous vote in favor of pursuing that concept. And so now we have, we've made the ordinance as it was written for Ardsley Park, Chatham Crescent, available to people to look at online numerous times. I brought 11 copies of it here if anybody would like to look at it. Would anybody like to discuss this issue at all? Does anybody not know what I'm talking about at all and want me to just kind of make a mention of it? Okay. Well, I'm not going to simplify it by using my words. If you want to know what it is all about, it is right here. I will say this, that we are not voting today on whether or not we're going to do this exact thing here. We have reached out to numerous members of the Parkside community to form a sort of an advisory board on this particular topic. I think the sole member that's actually here is Robin Williams, also Connie Pinkerton, who is a historic preservationist, Stuart Dorman, who's in construction and also has a mind towards preservation, and Laura Seifert, who is an archaeologist, and she does she's kind of been pursuing archaeology for the city to try to get that to happen, and that's something that we actually supported in this group by vote as well. The idea is that, but that's also open to anybody who would like to be a part of that. All you have to do is just let me know. Those are just the people who volunteered and were interested. And they will ultimately craft the ordinance, which will be specific to our neighborhood. The one change or sort of difference between what is written for Ardsley Park, Chatham Crescent and our neighborhood was the concern that it would not have included people actually taking their entire house and moving it out of Parkside. So I know that sounds like a crazy thing to even be concerned about, but since this ordinance is focused entirely on demolition, we wanted to add it to our own. We took a vote and we talked about it. We wanted to add it to our own ordinance, something that would cover people removing their house from Parkside, so that way we wouldn't lose a historic house from our neighborhood. So that being said, I think we'll take a vote, and then if there are people who are in favor and opposed, then we can have further discussion. So all those in favor of taking this to the next step and writing our ordinance to submit to the city, raise your hand. All those opposed? Okay, since we do not have any in opposition, then we don't need to have any further discussion. The preservation, or the committee that has been put together to discuss this further is actually meeting for the first time tomorrow at 11 a.m. I'm not going to invite a bunch of people over to Robin's house, who has been willing to host this, but if you're interested in being a part of this, the actual drafting, which is going to be very, very close to this. We're going to keep it pretty much identical to this because we don't want to rock the boat really, and it's simple. Then why don't we talk to Robin? Is anybody interested in that right now that's in this room? Okay.
Oh.
I'm not interested in being a part of the committee necessarily, but I do want to go back. I've gone over it before. I do want to go back over it again. And then I'll grab your email address before you leave tonight, just to kind of throw out some thoughts.
Sure. Absolutely. And in fact, we encourage everybody in the neighborhood, if you have any thoughts or concerns or considerations that you want to bring up regarding this particular thing, that's what we're here for. I mean, that's what our neighborhood is. So you can post it on social media. You can email parksidesav@gmail.com. I'm not gonna give you my phone number, but you can, we actually do have a phone number that we have for the neighborhood association, which I do not unfortunately have on me, but we are going to, is it on the flyer? Okay, it's on the flyer. Yeah, that phone number, it will go to voicemail, but if you have any questions or concerns about this or any other matter for that matter, you can call that number and we will call you back and we will discuss whatever issue or concern that you have. And we've actually asked people who are on this specific committee to help with that because they're experts. I'm not an expert on this kind of stuff at all, but people like Robin and Connie and such, they are experts in this, so they can answer those questions thoroughly and everything. So that was easier than I thought. So we have 5 more minutes. Is anybody? Yes.
And I was just going to say that whatever we draft will come back to the community before anything goes to City Hall.
Exactly. And hopefully we'll have that by next month. I think that's the goal, is to have it by the next
I
meeting.
don't expect it's going to be
No.
a complete refashioning of what that is.
No.
That went through, so.
And Ellen at the city has, we met with her and she was, she's a city employee, so she's very dry about it, but she will ultimately help us make sure that we haven't screwed up any of the language or done anything that's gonna make things weird. So, so we've got somebody already we're working with there, so.
I do have a question for Alderman Miller, and how do these conservation districts interface with NUZO should NUZO pass?
NUZO is this breathing, moving pit
Evolving.
of snakes and better animals. It will have to be massaged in there. I don't know exactly how it fits in there. NUZO is a 5-inch binder that I can't understand when I try to read it. I have to ask those kind of questions, but NUZO would take into consideration all these overlays. As I understand that, that overlay, it requires that before you demolish, or in your case, move a historical residence, you would have to get permission to do so. I don't know how many buildings you have that would fit that. I'm not speaking against it, I'm just saying that's what I understood that the ordinance actually does.
Yeah, so ours would do what Ardsley Park Chum Crescent does, provide a layer, it would provide a layer of, I guess you could say, bureaucratic oversight, so that there was a house on 49th Street in Ardsley, actually in Chatham Crescent, that was to be purchased, and the owner wanted to demolish it and build a building significantly bigger on the site that would have required a variance and a notice scale for the neighborhood and set a precedent. And so that was the catalyst for the creation of this conservation law, as opposed to a wholesale design review law, which downtown and Kyler Brownville and Victorian districts have, which is a much more rigorous and limiting kind of law. This one really just provides a mechanism so that if you wish to demolish your house, you have to get a permit that has to be, well, you need a demolition permit anyway, but it provides the city and the community a way to challenge that. And the preservation officer, Ellen Harris, I believe she would have the authority to approve or deny that request. And if she denied it, then I gather the petitioner could go to city council, could they not?
They could go to city council, or they could go to court.
Right, but at which point, in the case of Chatham Crescent, the owner said, you know what, and actually it was even before this got passed in Ardsley Park Chatham Crescent, the owner was persuaded to take a different path, which saved the house. And then that was passed, and so it really just buys time to allow for a conversation and find alternative solutions.
It also, it also puts an obstacle in the way. One of the things that Ardsley Park has found, and I think you might find it in Parkside soon, developers come in, they buy a house that's got a big lawn, and they want to tear it down and build 2 houses there. And the houses they want to build are out of character with the houses that are there. And currently, there's no legal reason no legal venue to stop that. And this at least makes you go through the process to prove that this house has to be torn down. Otherwise, you stand to change your entire character of your neighborhood.
Does it cover renovations too?
No.
Oh, because there was something in the paper about this woman who was a city person
County
fighting with her neighbor.
Yes.
And the judge nixed it today. She was doing a pool house addition, and I guess the woman.
She was
objected
doing
to
a two-story pool house addition that overlooked the Helen Stone's pool.
Okay.
And Helen objected to having this overlook right up against her fence. And the process that went through, that they went through to get that is what brought along the
Judge's
objections.
orders, yeah. Because they did a stop order, and she claimed that she used her position to get the stop order, and the judge, the way he ruled, it just sort of sounded like she did. Nobody knew why they stopped it.
No, but that's not this.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not this at all. This is only for tear downs,
Okay.
51% or more. It's all that it encompasses. All right, well, great. Thanks, everybody, for the meeting. We're coming in at an hour. Yeah.
If anybody is on the Parkside Committee, if you're an officer, please stay for about 5 minutes.
Okay. All right, thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming.
What I have is really brief and may not even apply. I'm just thinking of going home, and I don't know if I might need to tear it down, so.
Well, not every building is protected. But I mentioned that there are walls, so it would have to be an inventory of the houses on
Yeah.
In theory, you could have a younger.
So good.